To say that this hits close to home is an understatement. This happened in our home, and these journalists were doing a job that so many of us do and have done day in and day out. They put aside any concerns about going into a neighborhood or an area that may not have been the best because they had one mission: to get the story, not knowing they themselves would become a part of the story. It's tragic on so many levels. They went to cover a homicide, and now we know that one of those journalists is a victim of homicide, and so is a 9-year-old daughter. Senseless violence that took place in our community. I want to walk you through a timeline of exactly what happened today. It started this morning at around 11 o'clock. That's when the sheriff says a 20-year-old woman was killed. Police, according to the sheriff, this person was an acquaintance of the shooter. Then at around 4:05 this afternoon, the sheriff says they got multiple 911 calls about multiple people being shot. And then when they arrived is when we got a full idea of just how tragic this story is. We know the victims killed a 20-year-old woman this morning, a journalist from Spectrum 13, and a 9-year-old girl. According to the sheriff, this shooting happened first in the morning. These journalists arrived at the scene this afternoon to cover that story. And then that gunman, according to the sheriff, opened fire on them, killing one of the journalists, then going to a house nearby on Hialeah. The house was on Harrington Street, and opening fire on a mother and a 9-year-old daughter. That 9-year-old daughter died. We know the victims killed, again, a 20-year-old woman, a 9-year-old girl, and a Spectrum 13 journalist. We have reporters covering all angles of this story. We have Patrick Perez covering the journalists killed. We have Marie Ettinger covering that mother and daughter shot, that daughter that was then killed, and Connor Hansen covering the suspect. But we start with Patrick Perez. Patrick, I think I speak for all of us when I say our hearts are heavy.
Yeah, absolutely, Ray. It really is a somber night here outside of the sheriff's office. I was actually inside of the press conference at the building behind me when we learned what had happened to those two News 13 journalists, that they had been shot. Here's exactly what went down. The News 13 reporter and photographer were covering this morning's homicide on Hialeah Street. Shortly after 4 o'clock this afternoon, deputies say the 19-year-old suspect from that homicide showed up at the scene and shot the news crew. A witness we spoke with described the moments after.
He's like, shots fired. He's like, call the police, and there's no one around. And so I run over there. I was speaking to the 911 operator, and they're like, this is what you do. So I was telling people, hey, go get a blanket, put some pressure.
Both journalists were taken to the hospital where one of them died, and at last check, the other is fighting for his life.
I want to acknowledge what a horrible day this has been for our community and our media partners. I work closely with all of you and know many of you and know the very difficult job that you do, and also the very important job that you do for our community and for law enforcement. No one in our community, not a mother, not a 9-year-old, and certainly not news professionals, should become the victim of gun violence in our community.
Charter Communications, the company that owns Spectrum News 13, released a statement tonight about the shooting, saying, quote, "We are deeply saddened by the loss of our colleague and the other lives senselessly taken today. Our thoughts are with our employees' family, friends, and co-workers during this very difficult time. We remain hopeful that our other colleague who was injured makes a full recovery. This is a terrible tragedy for the Orlando community." Now, deputies say that suspect isn't saying much right now, but investigators are working to find out whether he even knew that he was shooting at a news crew or if he was targeting them specifically. Ray.
Patrick, so many questions at this hour. Here's what we do know. A mother is fighting for her life, and when she wakes up, and hopefully we hope she does wake up from this awful nightmare, she'll come to the realization that she lost her 9-year-old daughter. She's fighting for her life right now, and so is a photojournalist from Spectrum 13. And for that part of the story, we're going to turn to my colleague, Marie Ettinger. She's outside Orlando Regional Medical Center. And again, Marie, a mother and a fellow journalist fighting for their lives.
Yes, they are. And just to reiterate a bit of this timeline, the sheriff's office says just after shooting that news crew with Spectrum News 13, the shooter who they have accused and arrested now, the person they are saying is responsible for all of this, 19-year-old Keith Moses, the sheriff's office says went to a home just down the road, entered and shot a woman and her 9-year-old daughter. And we found out this evening that 9-year-old girl did pass away. Now, just to be clear about where this is all happening, that shooting happened on Harrington, the home that the man entered was on Harrington Drive. That is just down the road from where the news crew was shot, only a few homes down. Now, hearing what happened and seeing deputies flood the streets, several people living in the Pine Hills neighborhood told me they wish law enforcement officers had a greater presence in the neighborhood on a regular basis, and that they hope their community leaders will show up in person after this tragedy just to talk things through. One man told me he had felt safe there up until recently.
As a community, we should come together. You know, we shouldn't be breaking apart. We shouldn't be having more shootouts.
So again, the mother is at the hospital behind me in critical condition. Last we heard, the sheriff's office says they are hoping she's going to be okay. While at the hospital, we have seen ambulances come through the area, which is to be expected. Just after the shooting, though, we also noticed a forensics unit that we'd seen on scene come to this hospital. We're going to be here just to bring you the latest updates as quickly as we can. Ray?
All right, Marie, thank you. As Marie mentioned, this investigation really is just beginning, and we're trying to figure out what led us to this point. For more on the suspect behind the rampage that took place today in our community, we're going to turn to Fox 35's Connor Hansen. He joins us live as well. And Connor, you're going to walk us through what we know about the suspect.
That's right, Ray. And tonight, the sheriff listing out several prior crimes that suspect has been arrested for in the past. And again, just to be clear, that suspect is in custody as detectives trying to figure out why he did what he did. Now, take a look at this photo we just received. It shows that suspect, Keith Moses. He's flanked by Orange County deputies. He's wearing a white jumpsuit, and it almost appears he has a smirk on his face. Moses is 19 years old. Even at that age, the sheriff says he has a history of gun charges, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, burglary, and grand theft. The sheriff said tonight that investigators at the original murder scene from this morning had a good description of Moses and were looking for him. He says the suspect was arrested not long after he shot several more people this afternoon, not far away, wearing the exact same clothes from the morning. Now, Sheriff Mina says they're still working to find out why this suspect chose to shoot those two journalists and why he chose to enter that home and shoot a mother and child. Reporting live in Orlando, Connor Hansen, Fox 35 News.
Connor, thank you. And so, as we continue to follow this investigation, we'll send you back with the facts that we know tonight. We know a journalist from Spectrum 13 is dead, a 9-year-old daughter is dead, and a woman, a 20-year-old woman, is dead as well. There are many questions, and we will continue to follow this story, but our hearts, of course, are broken. They're with our fellow colleagues from another media organization and with our community dealing with this violence. Luann and John.
All right, thanks a lot, Ray. Really sad day here, and we'll talk to you later in the newscast for the very latest update.